Hello and welcome to another Canguro English Daily Digest. My name is Christian and today we're going to talk about various different things, and I'm going to try to somehow connect them all to make a beautiful, elegant Daily Digest. Well, let's see. But first we need to start with today's word of the day. Okay, and I like today's word of the day because it consists of two elements. This is a whiteboard. It's a board that's white. Easy. Now, let's look at another word that contains the word board. Okay, so imagine back in the past you had excuse my drawing. So you had a carriage. Okay, you had a carriage. Like this, which was for transporting, for transporting people, and it probably had a seat, and it was pulled by horses. This is the horse. Now, so here's our beautiful carriage. Now, horses can go very fast, or they can go very slowly, and horses can accelerate very quickly. They can suddenly go from 0 to a, and in English this is called a dash. To dash is to run very quickly. Now, imagine if you are in England and it's raining and the ground is all muddy and wet and horrible and the horse is running really, really fast. Well, what happens is that all of this wet, horrible mud splashes on the person who is driving the carriage. So we needed some type of protection, some type of board to stop this horrible, muddy, disgusting slime from getting all over the people. So they invented this beautiful curved thing on the front of the carriage, and that was called a dashboard. It's a board for when the horses dash. And then, of course, we stopped using horses and carts, and we started using these things. This is the replacement for the horse and carriage, but of course we kept vocabulary, and so in a modern car, in any car, this thing here, this whole big thing here is called the dashboard, because it's in the same position as the old dashboard from the days of horse and carts. Right? Amazing. Now, I like that word of the day because it tells us about the history of humans, and it tells us about culture and everything, right? But another reason I like it, okay, and this is me trying to relate. Another reason I like it is because it consists of two elements: dash and board. Now, think about this. All human languages are made of a finite, not an infinite, not an infinite, a finite number of sounds. So, like in English, you have approximately 48, I think, different phonemes. So 48 different possible sounds. U, I, th. Some languages have less, some languages have more, but all languages have a finite number of sounds. And from that finite number of sounds, we can make an infinite number of expressions. That's pretty incredible, right? That's pretty amazing. So to demonstrate something incredible, because basically I want to talk about this new paper now. Now this paper is not published yet. It will be published soon. It's called Iconicity and Structure in the Emergence of Combinatoriality by Matthias Hofer and Roger Levy from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Okay? Very interesting paper. So it's related to this. Bear with me, bear with me. So you can participate in this experiment. So if you have a musical instrument in your house, or anything, could be one of these weird instruments, or it could be a piano or drums or whatever, or you can even just whistle. I want you to invent a language right now, a sound, okay? So I'm going to show you an object, and I want you to create a sound for that object. So for example, make a sound. Okay? Now what about this? Piece of paper. Make a sound. Okay, now what about this? What about this? What about this? This object here. Now, if you are if you are a normal person, okay, then probably when you saw a simple object like this, you probably made a simple sound. All right? But when you see a more complicated object like this, then you probably made a more complicated sound. It's very simple. The relation between the apparent complexity of an object and the sound is related. Interesting. And this tells us about where language comes from. The sound of language, right? And so there's a concept in linguistics called iconicity. Iconicity basically means that a sound is directly related in some way to an object. So for example, you could have onomatopoeia. A cat says meow, and the sound we make is meow, because it sounds similar. It's very iconic. And all language probably started in that way. I've talked a little bit about this before. Like maybe when we saw water, we went whoosh, because it sounds like the water. It's very iconic. And then when we saw rocks, maybe they were like, because rocks are kind of like, strong and right? But then of course language gets more complicated. We need to somehow combine elements. We need to combine these sound elements to create new links between sounds and words. So in this study, basically they showed that at the beginning, sounds are very iconic, right? Like for example, this is pen, simple. And this is, very iconic and simple. But when you have generation after generation of language being passed from generation to generation, like with real language, as it passes, it loses its connection to the simplicity. So for example, after 8 generations, maybe this becomes, and this becomes, right? And so over time, we completely lose that correlation between those basic building blocks of sound, like a and u and e, and how they relate to objects. And this is part of my continuing series about where does language come from. So dashboard in the future could become its own word. I mean, this is maybe evidence of it happening, right? A dashboard is a thing. People don't think about dashing horses and boards. A dashboard's a thing. It's lost its 2 components, its essential meaning. Anyway, I hope, oh my God. I hope that you found this interesting. I certainly did. It's Thursday, best day of the week, and I'm gonna go and do some stuff now. I'll see you in class.